Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcomed to this Christmas season, the season of joy, the season of celebration. We are continuing with the life and works of Sufi Lakshmi Sai. A certain man decided to seek the perfect master. This is the Sufi parable. This is how it goes on with everyone. A certain man decided to seek the perfect master. First, let me speak to you a little bit about the prelude to the parable. Remember, knowledge is always interested in arguments. Such is the state of knowledge. Such is the nature of knowledge. Knowledge is not interested in learning anything. A man of knowledge is not interested in learning anything. Instead, he is there to teach everything. In learning, he feels humiliated. There are certain people who read the posts, but they will never respond. In learning, knowledge feels humiliated. That is why it becomes difficult to learn. The more grown up you are, less is the possibility for you to learn anything. A grown up person knows a lot, but his capacity to learn is almost nil. On the contrary, children know nothing, but their capacity to learn is tremendous. A child picks up and learns very fast. Children are capable to learn very fast. Also, they learn very easily. When you have to learn after 35, 40 or 50 years, it is difficult, almost impossible. Sometimes you may wonder what happens to the intelligence of a grown-up person. After 40 to 50 years of experience in the world, human intelligence needs to be sharper, but it is not so. In the process of life's journey, much dust and superficial gathers on the layers of the mind. Intellect gets too much burdened, and then such a person feels really humiliated in learning anything. He do not want to learn more than what he knows. Most of the time, this remains the conflict between youth and the old. How can such a knowledge bow down? Knowledge cannot say that I do not know. And a disciple is the one who can say that I do not know. I have known. All that I have known or gathered has not helped me to gain anything substantial when it comes to truth. Therefore, I am ready to learn. I have not come with any conclusions. I am empty. Fill me with thy awareness. When I see the comments on the posts, most of them are superficial. If I post something, someone will comment or in return post something that he also knows this. And no one shows that I am empty, fill me with thy awareness. I am empty, fill me with thy awareness. To say this or to reach to this state of emptiness is most difficult. Once this has happened, the other process happens without any effort. The most important thing is to confess, to accept that you have not gathered anything, and to empty yourself. Unless you have emptied yourself, there isn't anything that can be poured into. The real search is to search the disciple in you, that emptiness. The real search implies how to empty the cup of your being, so that when you come across someone who is overflowing with God, you can be filled. Fill your heart, filled to your heart's content. Strangely enough, everyone is searching for a master, and in search each is looking for a brand name. The one who has number of disciples, one who has a brand name, label, number of disciples, and if the so-called elite of the society is the disciple, you feel certainly this master is better. Then you come across many people, but still you feel unsatisfied. The reason for this does not exist on the surface. Instead, it comes from your own mind. Let me tell you something about a Hasidic mystic, Levi Isaac. He was a beautiful Hasidic master. He was so full of God that the song and dance of God overflowed whenever he worshipped or prayed. While worshipping or praying, he used to get so intoxicated that most of the time he will go wild. So it is said that he simply radiated the divine dance in its total wildness. He always worshipped with so much passion that people used to get frightened and move away each time, because he was so wild in his worship. If he was worshipping in the temple, people would escape, because while worshipping he will go wild. Nothing existed for him then. He prayed, even he himself ceased to exist. He is not there, only prayer is there. He is prayerful. Now if you come with some preconceived ideas about how a master should be, then Levi Isaac appears to you to be a madman. If you think a master should be dressed in a particular way, or he should be sitting like a Buddha, then this man is turning things upside down, or running all over the place, who has scared other worshippers. Will certainly not fulfill the criteria of a master, but Levi Isaac was a perfect Hasid master. God descends in many forms, sometimes as Buddha, his silence is the dance. Other times as Krishna playing the flute, dancing with the milkmaid on the blue bank of the river under the full moon night. Or sings and dances through Meera. Meera's dance is an expression of her inner silence. It comes in new forms. As a result, there is no meeting. God is creator and he never appears in the same, always appears in a new form. So there is no criteria that can be fulfilled. But Levi Isaac was the perfect master. Remember, all your conclusions are old. If you are born in a Buddhist family, then how can you think this Hasid master be a perfect Buddha? Impossible for you to think. If you move with your conclusions, you will land in difficulty. The disciple of one master will not be able to recognize the other as a master, because he has seen that as a master and he considers that physical form as the master alone. Master is a state of spiritual awakening. Master is a state of inner transformation. When that state manifests through you, or through Levi Isaac or through Buddha, the same inner state, if you look deep into Levi Isaac or Buddha or Mahabir or Osho or Raman or Mira or Kabir, you will find the same fragrance. Same fragrance through all. But the disciple of one master will not be able to recognize another master as master. As an individual, you keep on carrying deep-rooted prejudices. To you, such a prejudice will look very rational. Now, let me look into the parable. The parable is unique and beautiful. A certain man decided to seek a perfect master. Each parable centers around a Sufi master of the past. The current master will use the anecdotes of the past masters as parables. Sufi masters are unique because they know the art of saying things which cannot be said. Like the masters of the Upanishads, to say that cannot be said is the way of truth. Truth cannot be said directly. Saying directly is too aggressive. How can truth be expressed when you have not experienced it? It has to be used in an indirect way. Even in ordinary life, an inexperienced thing cannot be told. Only words are conveyed. Truth is not fact. Truth is existential and can only be experienced in a state of inner silence. It can only be hinted at. I can point towards the moon. My fingers pointing towards the stars says something. You cannot be convinced of truth, only you can be persuaded. And the beauty of the master is that he is not trying to convince you of truth. Instead, he is going to seduce you into truth. There is no other word except seduce, because it is most beautiful. He brings you into that state. There is no other way to clearly explain the function of a master. By being in his presence, you get persuaded into it. You see him in a particular way. You are slowly and slowly drawn to that fragrance. If I put it correctly, parable is seductive. Even those who were not searching for any truth may be suddenly struck by the parable. Something may suddenly get explored. A certain master was seeking a certain disciple, a certain man was seeking a perfect master. Also, people like stories, and stories have a tendency to hang around your consciousness. It is difficult to forget them. Not only children but adults, grown-up people also like stories. Parables have a way of reaching to the deepest core of your being. The story of the impeccable man, Mawjood, one who is available to the moment, is another Sufi parable. Sufis have been using parables for ages. Let us not deviate from the present talk. What is a master? A certain man decided that he would seek the perfect master. Now to decide is wrong. Remember, all decisions come from your past experiences. One cannot decide to seek a perfect master. It happens. One can only become available in a very impressive way. Seeking, decisions, etc. are active ways. One has to be feminine. A disciple has to be feminine, more alert, more watchful about what one is trying to do. Have you known a master before? Do you have any experience of the master? What criteria do you have to seek a master? Whatsoever you heard of a master is borrowed. You are not certain and cannot at all be certain of this truth. How are you going to decide? And who is going to decide? Also, you are going to seek a master. What are the criteria for judgment? How will you determine that this is really a perfect master? Are you capable of judging a perfect master? A master hides himself because you do not want to have the crowd around him. If this be so, then you are certainly higher than the master. You are sitting in the seat to judge who is a perfect master. You are not humble or a passive disciple. And remember, master happens only in your passivity. Master happens only in your passivity when you are receptive and when you are simple. A certain man decided that he would seek the perfect master. And why are you seeking a perfect master? This is the way of ego. Ego always seeks perfection. If you are interested in money, ego wants you to be the richest man. If you are seeking to be a moralist, ego wants you to be a perfect saint. Ego has the deep desire to be perfect. All egoists are perfectionists, and all perfectionists are neurotic. They are neurotic. Perfection leads to schizophrenia. A humble man knows and accepts imperfections. A humble man never seeks or asks for the impossible. It is only the ego that goes for the impossible, for perfection. Why do you need a perfect master? Probably you seem to be seeking the perfection in everything, as is the case with almost everyone. And anything less than that will not appeal to you. You need a perfect master, or a master who is well recognized or internationally acclaimed. Ordinary masters will not do. The master has to be somewhat extraordinary, the mind says. All this will satisfy your humble ego. And the paradox of life is extraordinary happens in a most ordinary man. A real man does not want to be superior to anyone else, because he knows that everyone is the part of this synergistic harmony, the cosmic existence. He lives in a world beyond comparison. And the very idea of seeking a perfect master is based on comparison. A certain man decided that he would seek the perfect master. This is the story of each one of you. And if you are the person seeking the perfect master, what would you do? Gather information about the perfect masters. So too this man did, and in the process, he read many books. How can you find a perfect master? By reading the books. By reading, you will become more and more stuffed with knowledge, and that will be the barrier. But this is how it happens. This is how it happens. Someone starts thinking about God, or truth, or beauty. One of the worldly acclaimed person, he says, when I meditate, I make a conscious contact with God. Conscious contact with God. As if, what does it mean? That God is a person and he makes a conscious contact with him. To use this word, to use this phrase is absolutely wrong. he will start reading books, because everyone considers books to be the way to find all one is looking for. This is normal and natural too, but truth cannot be contained in the words. Truth is the saltishness in salt. You will have the qualities of salt. I have heard of an Indian poet, Rabindranath Tagore. Once he was seeking about beauty. He wanted to know what beauty is. A poet is always interested in beauty. He was concentrating on beauty. It was a full moon night. He was in his boat in the river Hooghly. The night was majestic. Full moon in the sky with its reflection on the water, river water. He was surrounded by the silence of the river and the nearby forest. He was all alone in his boat. Occasionally a bird may call or a cricket may chirp, and that was all. And after all, silence, and afterwards, each time the chirping of the birds or the sound of cricket, the silence gets deeper. Ravindra was sitting inside the boat, pondering over the question, what is beauty? So he was looking in an ancient scripture. Tagore was seeking the wordless in the word, wordless through the word, or the formless through the form. Only a small candle was lit in the cabin. Tired and frustrated as he was, it reached the middle of the night, and Rabindranath could not find anything on beauty in the scripture. Only words were there. He blew out the candle. As he blew out the candle, he could not believe his eyes. Suddenly, as he blew out the candle, something majestic happened. The window that was open, window of the boat that was open, from the window, from the door, and from all the corners, the moonlight just rushed in. Moonlight was already waiting to come in. He was transported into another world. He rushed out of the cabin door on the dock. He looked at the moon and the silence of the night, the reflection of the moon on the river, the silvery river, and the dense forest on the bank, too he looked at. This was beauty. In all its splendor, beauty was surrounding him, and he was seeking beauty in the word, in the scripture. All along he was searching in the books, but the beauty was waiting for him in all its glory and splendor. That small candle, remember, this candle is nothing else, not an ordinary candle, but the candle of your knowledge, which keeps on flickering. That candle was preventing the splendor of the night. He was so much engaged in the scripture that he has forgotten that it was full moon night. Ravindra threw the book in the river, and that was the last time that he ever thought of beauty. He said, thinking will not help when beauty is there. Beauty in all its splendor and majesty is surrounding you. You have to be available to it. The Master is available in all his majestic splendor and glory and innocence. You have to be open to be available to it. But with conclusions and a priori conclusions, you will never be able to find. You will have to blow out the candle of ego, the candle of knowledge. Once the candle of ego is blown out, beauty comes in many ways. But this is what happens. You start thinking of finding a perfect master. You will go to the books to know how a perfect master is, how does he behave. Now the book will confuse you. Each book has its own criteria. A Christian book will describe Jesus as the criteria. So too a Buddhist book will describe qualities of Buddha as the criteria of a perfect master, and so on and so forth. The works on Mira will describe Mira as the criteria. But none of these can describe in any way qualities of a perfect master. They represent only qualities of one of the manifestations of the perfect master, a Buddha, or a Mahavir, or a Jesus, or a holy prophet, or a Krishna, or a Ramakrishna, Krishnamurti, or Osho, etc. And once you start reading books, your search, you are already having a preconceived idea. Now you will be looking for a Buddha or a Jesus or a Raman or a Zarathustra or a Lao Tse. None of these can be repeated because God is creator, and creativity means that it cannot be replaced. It cannot be repeated. Jesus cannot be repeated, but Christians are waiting for the arrival of Jesus to come back. This is a sheer ignorance. God cannot create a second Jesus. Jesus is unique. Just as you are unique and you cannot be created, even God tries to create you, He cannot create you. You are unique. And each one of you, each one of the masters, Holy Prophet, Krishna, Mira, Raman, all are unique and they cannot be repeated. You can imitate, but you cannot copy them. They cannot be created. And once you start reading the book, your search is doomed to fail. A Ram happens only once, a Jesus happens only once. So too a Muhammad, so too a Krishnamurti, so too a Raman. God is called creator, and there can never be a repetition. So confusion is bound to happen. Confusion is bound to happen. Your intelligence may join all the qualities and you will create your own image of a perfect master. With this, you will never find a perfect master. It is like taking a part of a donkey cart, another one from Rolls Royce, next one from another, and try to create something. Definitely you will have something strange, but it will not work. Even a donkey cart is better than your own creation. Howsoever slow, one thing is certain, riding it you will certainly reach somewhere, but the monster that your imagination has created will not help you. But this is what happens. A certain man decided to seek the perfect master. So he read many books. This happens. First, everyone seeks a perfect master. Nothing short of perfection will work. So he starts reading the books. In the process, some will find books as repetition and then the end of the journey, while others continue to read. So those who read many scriptures, many books, create an image of a perfect master, your own creation. And such idea is very combination of many characteristics. These are collected from different scriptures. It is impossible. Such a person is imaginary and does not exist. You are in fact searching for an illusion. This you will not find. Definitely you will come across masters, but because of your own idea of a perfect master, you will go on rejecting them. Because of your idea, you will go on missing. Not that the masters do not exist. It is said in the past there used to be perfect masters, but now they do not exist. It is erroneous. They are always there. The world is full of masters always, because it is God's creation and He will not ever leave the world without the masters. And remember, God is not miser. Jews say that there are only 36 masters in the world at one time. Just 36. Had God become a miser? And why only 36? Jews are still generous than the other religions. Jains say that there are only 24 perfect masters in the whole creation, from the beginning to the end. So for millions of years, there is only not even a single master. Hindus are even more miser. They say only 10 incarnations. Christians are even more miser. They say God has only one son and Jesus is the only begotten son. So only these perfect masters. How can you find one? Your search will remain incomplete. God is generous. This I can tell you on my own experience. There is no fixed number of masters. Masters go on happening. Just people are blind and deaf. This hurts to know that you are blind and deaf. This is why there are theories that only 36, only 24, only 10 and 1. So if you are not finding the master, nothing is wrong with you, because master happens only once in a while, and once in a while there is a perfect master. So what can you do? You are searching for the master, but the scriptures say that there are, Jews say only 36, Jain says 24, Hindus say 10, Christians say 1. Just as roses are always available, lotus blossoms every day, sun rises every day, millions of stars adorn the inner sky, masters are always there. Only you have to open your eyes. People go on thinking that perfect masters used to be only in the past and now they will not happen. Why Hindus' incarnation have stopped? Has God stopped taking care of His creation? Then why does Krishna proclaim, whenever there is decline in righteousness, I rise from age to age. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharat. Abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyam. But Hindus have put a full stop on incarnations and perfect masters after 10. Same is the case in the times of Buddha. There are stories. They used to say that they used to come to Buddha and inquire, are you the perfect master? The same thing they asked Jesus, are you the Messiah that we are waiting for? People used to go and ask Jesus, are you the Messiah that we are waiting for? So when Jesus responded in affirmation, people were offended. Everyone thought that this son of carpenter, how could he be our Messiah? Such questions have always been asked. During Buddha's time, it was said, in the past there used to be perfect masters. It was true in the days of Vedas, Upanishads and scriptures. Now, these days there cannot be perfect master. This is the age of Iron Age, the age of Kali Yuga. A certain man decided to seek a perfect master. So he read many books, visited sages one after the other, listened, discussed and practiced, but always found him disturbing or unsure. You can read, you can discuss, you can become very logical. None of these things will help you, and your doubt will continue to persist. Nothing will happen until you experiment. Only experience will destroy all doubts hanging around your consciousness. But how can you experience a master? To experience a master, you need to be a disciple, you need to have a receptivity. In order to experience the positive current and to get your air conditioner or bulb lit or air conditioner to give the cool air, there has to be a receptivity in the form, something in the body of that equipment, air conditioner, there is a receptivity. And when the positive current reaches there and it activates, The circuit is complete. The positive and negative neutralize one another. The air conditioner becomes active and starts giving you cool breeze or the light through the bulb. The moment master and disciple neutralize one another, the receptivity of the disciple, the negative means the receptivity of the master accept the passive, the energy field of the master. The circuit is complete and something begins to overflow from the master to the disciple. To experience a master, you need to be a disciple, you need to be receptive, you have to be innocent. This is the first requirement. And what is the requirement of a disciple? Prayerfulness is the requirement of a disciple. Not saying your prayers, but being prayerful. Prayerfulness means the capacity to wait, the capacity to be empty, the capacity to surrender, and surrender not to any outside authority. Instead, surrender to your consciousness, to your emptiness. Capacity to be available. This is what prayer is. If you know how to pray, you will not. If you do not know how to pray, you will not come to know a master. Instead, you will come across, and you will not come across God either. Prayer creates God for you. Prayer creates godliness in everything in you. Prayer gives you a vision so that you can see everything is godly. Prayer creates a perfect master. Prayer is your receptivity. Prayer is your inner innocence. Prayer prepares you for revelation. You should learn how to pray. And once prayer is complete, Master comes on his own accord. I repeat, Master comes on his own accord. Or he will call you forth whenever you are ready. When a Master calls you, the journey, you are on a different journey. You are on a different journey. When you are called forth by a Master, not only the quality is different, instead the journey becomes easier as well. Not only the journey is different, but you will feel you are not going. Instead, you are being pulled. You know that now there is no way for you to resist. The pull of the Master is irresistible. The pull of the beauty. It is, disciple is like the metal and the Master is like the magnet. Magnet has tremendous quality to pull you. And when you come within the magnetic field, the metal gets naturally pulled without any resistance. You are helpless, but you are thrilled that you are chosen. Just start your preparation. Wherever you are, never ask if there is no perfect Master. Then, what is the point of preparation? A disciple, as a disciple, Master always exists. Master always exists. Only this much for today. I will continue this particular talk in the next session. A man was seeking a perfect Master. Only this much for this morning. Until Saturday, take care and do have a pleasant day and the season.